Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another video. Brand new day, and I hope that you are all doing very well. When you said to me, you haven't really done any of your high school years, I actually have done a lot of my high school years, almost all of it. I just scattered it around all my videos when my brain goes off on a tangent. So there's little bits and bobs everywhere, hidden treasures of my past. But I have decided that I will just summarize quickly um, my high school years. I actually almost dealt with everything. There's just two incidents out of my younger years that I also still want to cover, but this is all fun stuff. This had no traumatic effect on me whatsoever. And it was something that my mom only allowed me to do. My sisters didn't do that, which I thought was funny. And she didn't have a issue or a problem with that. I don't know if she got rid of me for that period of time. But that was something that I did on a regular basis. We stayed close to a little cinema, a little movie theater. Kini 500 it was called. It's still there. It's in our lawyer's offices. And on once a month on a Saturday morning, they had movies just for kids, and it would be a kid movie. The whole atmosphere and everything was just for small children, primary school, elementary school children, and it was very very popular. And that was something that my mom allowed me to go on a Saturday morning. And I can still remember that we would get so involved with these movies and the interaction that went on between the audience and the movie was out of this world. If there was something dramatic that was building up to happen, then the theater, the children would scream and try to warn the victim or the of what was going on. It was very interactive. I remember that clearly. But that was something that I did on a regular basis, and I really enjoyed it. And then the other thing that my mom allowed me to do, which my sisters didn't really do, and I did this weekends and holidays. We stayed about, I would say, about 1.5 k's from the public swimming pool. And I used to spend my summer days at that swimming pool. It was hardly anything, I think like 5 cents in those days in South African currency to go in. And then I had a little bit of pocket money to spend at the cafe where you could buy chippies and sweets, cool drink, things like that. Wilson's toffees was a favorite of mine. I used to love the Coca-Cola toffee. That was a swimming pool treat from the swimming pool cafeteria. And then also the Vicks bubblegum, uh, chewing gum. I just love that taste of that Vicks bubblegum, and you could blow huge bubbles with it. It was quite a strong gum. That was also a swimming pool memory for me from Newton Park swimming pool. And then they had like these ice creams that almost looked like a spaceship, three colors, and then on the top it had like a little chocolate. It was dipped in chocolate, just the little top, very neatly, like a cap. It had a little chocolate cap. That also. And I used to spend literally my days there in summer if the weather was good. And yeah, that was just two things that I remembered, which was very nice for me, which I did solo, and something that my sisters never did, which my mom allowed me to do. Okay, back to my high school years and the things that I now already have covered. I have covered the fact that I wasn't allowed to choose my own subjects at school that was chosen for me, which made it very, very hard for me because it was subjects that I had no ability, natural inborn ability to do, and which I didn't like. I think I would have maybe enjoyed it. And our subject was in groups. You could the groups were prescribed, so certain subjects you couldn't take together. I don't know why. whether it had something to do with how you attend the classes or the teachers or exams. I've got no idea why they did that. But I think in retrospect, I would have liked to maybe have done geography and biology, seeing that I like animals and I enjoy nature. And I've got a very good memory, and it's basically learning subjects, a little understanding, but mostly learning. The guinea fowls are unhappy. Do I now rush out to go and have a look? There, they're quiet. Mostly learning subjects, and the guinea fowl aren't very happy. No, they're quiet. The people are so thoughtless. They would walk with their dogs and take their dogs off the lead and just sort of um, plunder through the little ones or whatever, which the big ones are so desperately trying to protect. Makes me very angry. Selfish, thoughtless people. They're very unhappy. I don't know if there's a crow or a hawk maybe. So, and other people won't go out and have a look. In any case, so I was saddled with two music subjects, science and maths on higher grade, Afrikaans and English, which was terrible for me. Then I dealt with an accounting teacher, which we had, which was similar than the primary school teachers who used to call you to the board to do accounting problems. And if you couldn't figure it out, she would hit you with a ruler. Baji was her nickname. Terrible. Used to hate that. Then something that I didn't touch on, which I can never understand, is that the maths and science teachers like to do that. They would hand the test papers out from who did the best to those who did the worst. And I thought to myself, being an ex teacher, it must have taken a considerable little bit of time to actually order your exam paper pile from the highest mark to the lowest mark for 40 children or 45 children. And what really is the purpose in doing that but to humiliate those children who is not good in math and science, that must wait till the last five or the last eight to get their papers because everybody else that did better than them actually got their papers first. I cease to see the purpose. The only purpose I can see in doing that is to humiliate the children that's not doing well. And why would you want to do that? What does my exam results or my schoolwork have to do with any other child in that class? If I want to fail every single year, then I'm sure it's my business, mine and my parents' business, and maybe the teacher. Nothing to do with any of the other children in the class. These practices of trying to belittle and humiliate other people is really disgusting. I don't know what people try to achieve by doing that. It actually just it's a reflection of who you are as a human being. There are 110 other ways and solutions that you can choose from on how to deal with a problem of a child that can't do maths, or you don't make it worse by humiliating and belittling that person. You actually achieve just the opposite. That's what you achieve by doing that, because you actually cultivate a hatred not only towards you as the teacher but towards the subject, um, and not wanting to do the work or not wanting to try. It's very hard to do something if you don't have a talent um, for it. Very hard. Um, I could never understand that there's really people that can't cook. Then they look clumsy. They can't even fry an egg. But I suppose if if cooking is not coming naturally to you, then it would be like me trying to paint. I don't have any artistic hair on my head, none whatsoever. Now you put me in front of a blank a canvas and I must now paint a landscape. It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. You're going to get a mess. Okay, so I dealt with that and how that affected my school career. Then I also dealt with the fact that we had to sing in the school choir. That was a Monday afternoon, 5 to 7, and I'm not sure. I think we practiced on Fridays as well. And then the concerts and the estate fits that we had to do. That wasn't too bad an activity for me. I can always remember doing a short little bit of homework before we had to go to choir practice, and we stayed on a very busy road. That's one thing I can also remember very clearly, and that I associate with choir practice was at 5 o'clock when the people come home from work. Then we had little boys that would sell the newspaper at the robots at the traffic lights, and then they would sing and call out the newspaper's name, like the Oosterlig or the Herald or the Weekend Post, and then they will sort of chant it. And I can remember that very clearly because that sort of, I don't know why, but it made me sad. That was, it made me nostalgic and sort of sad. Um, and I can remember that clearly because that's the time, 5 o'clock, that we had to go to choir practice, and those two things sort of coincided with one another. And that was choir practice. Then I touched on athletics. I was a sprinter, a long jumper. I couldn't do high jumping. I don't know why they entered me for high jumping. Um, I did 100 meters, 200 meters, and then relay. Um, and how I often actually used to pass out at uh, athletic practice, and how that upset my mom, and how it actually then upset. Then I also touched on how exhausted and tired I was most of the time in my high school, uh, um, not my high school career, the time that I was in high school, and how that affected my ability to do homework and practice piano and practice flute. Because you need time if you do practical subjects at school. And then I did athletics, and then I hardly had any time to do my theoretical subjects. And if you struggle with a theoretical subject, then it takes you 5 times longer to do than somebody that actually likes maths and is very clever and just sort of goes through the problems quickly or the homework quickly. And so I touched on that. Then the one thing I did not touch on in my high school years was that I was actually bullied, badly bullied, by quite a big group of girls that wanted to have nothing to do with me. I wasn't allowed to join that group of girls, and they were always snickering. The group of girls always made it very obvious if I walked past or whatever that they were now talking and saying ugly things about me. They would call out sometimes ugly names to me. Um, and I was just not included. I was pushed out. And that actually had the result that I had boys as friends. And then that made that vicious circle of the girls that were so ugly to me, that exacerbated that whole situation because that made them like me less, if they could like me less. I was terribly, terribly bullied. And they know very well what they did. And now there's a reunion coming up in March next year, 1st of March, end of April, 1st of March. The other reunions I stayed away from. And this reunion, I have decided I'm actually going to go. So that's going to be a very interesting event. And I hope that I will vlog some of it. because that's going to be extremely interesting. I'm going to face each and every one of those bullies face to face. It's been a long time, but I can remember it as in yesterday. And it did damage. It did a lot of lasting damage. So that's going to be interesting. I dealt with that. Then I dealt with the fact that I was violated, intimately violated by my first boyfriend. I dealt with that I couldn't go with him to his matric farewell, our version of a prom, and that he then eventually cheated on me because of what happened, of what he did. I thought that I was most probably going to go out with him forever, and now he will probably become a husband. Um, that's also very deeply based in my religion, and um, yeah, that also stuffed up a lot of my high school years, I must say, because some stuff that shouldn't have been going on and happened did, and that made a huge mess of things. I actually wondered if I didn't go into a depression already in high school because of that, and the guilt that I carried with me. That I think was the worst. That I covered, and I think that's about it. Did I now leave something out? Okay, and then there was my I never was in school with my older sister. I missed her every time. In elementary, primary school, she left when I started with grade 3, and then when I started with grade 8, she was gone. But I shared 1 year or two. I shared 2 years with my middle sister in school, and so when she went to university, I obviously still had 4 years to go at school, and but I was already in grade 11. 11, yeah, grade 11, and there was somebody that was at university with her that really, really fancied me, and he asked me out. Very, very rich people from King Williamstown. It was a upstanding family and very Christian, extremely, extremely religious. So he would never have done what all the other people have done to me, what my mother so feared and tried to protect me from. But I wasn't allowed to go out with him. Strange how a person makes choices based on what can I say, things that we think. I was in school and he was at university. This is going to be such a huge problem, but it was less of a problem, or it would have been less of a problem because of his uh, religious belief and his religious foundations than what I was left with in school. In any case, and I wasn't allowed to go out with him, and he really, really he fancied me. He has passed away a number of years already ago of cancer, was also cancer. Um, but before I'm going to now mention his name, I went to read up on surnames and the fact that people actually had the opportunity to choose their own surnames. It was to identify people. Too many Johns, what's also common names. But that's where surnames came from. And people could choose their own surname. So they often would have chosen a last name that would be from the place that they stayed in, or the occupation that they did, or something that they were good in. And that's where a lot of the surnames came from. But then a lot of the people also made a joke out of it and didn't take it seriously and would then choose these ridiculous surnames, not realizing that those surnames will actually burden the people that live after them into the future, that will have to carry those surnames with them. And why am I telling this story? Because this guy that was at university with Runel, that fancied me so much. What a gentle soul he was. And his name was Andrew, and the surname was Cockjoy. I thought, I thought the people must have teased the two brothers. The people must have teased those children at not primary school so much, but in their older years, having to carry through life a surname like Cockjoy. So I could have been known as Sunette Cockjoy. Yeah, but that was his surname that he was burdened with to carry through the life that he had here on earth. And that is basically my my high school years. I will go into the last part of my high school years in the next video, because that links up to a major event that took place. So I actually did do a lot of my high school years. I just sort of scattered it all over the show in different videos. So this was a short little video, and thanks for watching. I hope you made it to the end, and you must look after yourselves and keep well. And I hope that I will see you next time.